against Nupur Sharma's prophet remarks have had their visas cancelled and they're going to be deported back to India. It's a total mess and one of the fallouts of this entire controversy. I also have a full update for you on the big Dharna for Rahul Gandhi on the streets of VIP Delhi. That and much more on 5 Live at 5 p.m.
In association with Sensodyne Daily Sensitivity Protection, LIC हर पल आपके साथ। Herald case continues to haunt Gandhis. Rahul waves and smiles before march to ED. Dynasty first, Satyagraha on full display. Sweat flowing, shirts torn, fists shaking. Rahul grilled, Priyanka leads street war. Satyagraha of strength or sycophancy. Mega Rahul grilling by ED.
So Rahul Gandhi is still inside the Enforcement Directorate. The first round lasted 3 hours. The second round has now been on for about an hour and a half and counting. What time will Rahul Gandhi walk out from there? We will tell you everything that's happening inside Rahul Gandhi's big Dharna outside and show of strength. Is it having any resonance whatsoever with the Congress's voters and supporters across the country? Or is it another big anti-climax for an imploding Congress? That and much more coming up. Also, big story from Kuwait for Indian expats over there. The headlines first. Inside track of Rahul Gandhi's Enforcement Directorate grilling on India today. 3 officers questioned the Congress MP. Enforcement watchdog's line of questioning. Full details on India today. BJP hits out at Congress over Satyagraha for Rahul. Smriti Irani fires scamster salvo. Trinamool dubs it as politics of opportunism.
You have called upon your karyakartas and leaders to the national capital, not to save democracy, but to save your property worth 2,000 crores.
Celebrity drug bust in high-profile Bengaluru hotel. Actor Shraddha Kapoor's brother among 6 detained for drug consumption. India Today has all of the details. After Maharashtra, now Bengal police summon Nupur Sharma. She seeks 2 to 3 weeks' time. 19-year-old, meanwhile, assaulted in Maharashtra for supporting the BJP spokesperson. Mamata Banerjee to replace Jagdeep Dhankar as Chancellor of all state universities. West Bengal Assembly passes controversial bill that has triggered a fresh fight with the state governor. Rahul Gandhi is being grilled for the second time today by the Enforcement Directorate. He took a brief break for lunch in between. But let's take a look at the top developments of this rapidly developing story. Development number 1, it's been over 5 hours and counting that the Congress leader has been grilled by the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald case. 5 hours and counting, split into two separate sessions. Rahul Gandhi met his mother, Sonia Gandhi, who is hospitalized with COVID at Delhi's Gangaram Hospital. He met her for a brief while after lunch before he resumed being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate for round number 2. Top development number 3 at this point. While the Congress MP is being grilled by the Enforcement Directorate in the National Herald case, his sister Priyanka Gandhi is holding fort, leading the street war against the government in VVIP Delhi. She was at the Tughlaq Road police station earlier, where she met with senior Congress leaders, including K.C. Venugopal and others, who have been detained by the Delhi police. Well, several Congress netas, like I said, have been detained as part of today's Dharna. A protest against the Enforcement Directorate summons to Rahul Gandhi has grabbed the Congress in its full strength. Well, this happened because there were no permissions granted by the Delhi police for this so-called satyagrah to support Rahul Gandhi and to project him as some kind of a victim. Meanwhile, well, really interesting politics playing out, not so much the BJP, but the Trinamool has attacked the Congress party and Rahul Gandhi, calling this entire Dharna politics of opportunism, saying that nobody makes this much noise when Trinamool leaders are summoned by the Enforcement Directorate and that this is just a symbol of sycophancy. The Trinamool has accused the Congress of double-speak and hypocrisy through this entire Dharna. And Rahul's second round of questioning has now been on for over an hour. The second round of questioning has resumed an hour ago after a short break for lunch. Rahul Gandhi, remember, also visited his mother, Sonia Gandhi, who is at Delhi's Gangaram Hospital for COVID treatment. He met with her briefly and then returned an hour ago to the Enforcement Directorate office where his questioning is still on. Supriya Bharadwaj with me live. Supriya, what's the latest that we're hearing from inside the Enforcement Directorate? Rahul Gandhi, having a brief call on with his mother before the questioning resumed today.
Well, Shiv, if you think that it's going to be over around 5 p.m. or something, then you're wrong. You will be breaking more news because of a simple reason that where we are standing at the moment, Ashok Gehlot along with Bhupesh Baghel and other senior leaders are all set to address the media just in a short while. I'll ask my camera person Ritesh to show you the location where they will be talking. And behind me you can see that still Delhi police is not letting anyone move towards the ED office where Rahul Gandhi's second round of questioning is going on. There's a 3-layer barricading which has been done. Nobody is allowed to go inside. Only people who are there are being allowed to leave. And once they come out from the ED offices nearby area, they're not allowed to go back. Delhi police is still holding the fort. Section 144 has been imposed here. And not just Janpat where we are at the moment, but the next lane, which is the Akbar Road, that is also wearing this kind of a deserted look. These two lanes are really very choco-block kind of situation. They see choco-block kind of a situation every day because of heavy traffic which is coming from the South Delhi side towards the Little Delhi. But one thing is for sure that Congress party is saying that still a lot of stuff is in store because we are getting information that the party workers and leaders have been asked to assemble in the evening around 5:36 p.m. near AICC headquarters, which is just down the lane, the 24 Akbar Road. And also there will be a media address, a gathering which is going to take place here at the moment. What we are hearing is that a lot of Congress party's leaders are still detained in various police stations. Somebody has been put in Mayur Vihar police station, someone has been put at Tughlaq Road police station, other people have been kept at Mandar Marg police station, and this is the situation which is going on at ground zero. It's not over yet. A lot of Congress party spokesperson and the leaders are saying that they will continue to fight on this particular issue. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, we have seen, has been holding fort from the front. So the fight is right from the streets, and we are hearing it's going to go up to the Sansad also, because a lot of Congress MPs are claiming that they were manhandled. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary has filed a police complaint also. KC Venugopal's visuals were out where he's been manhandled. This is what the Congress party's leaders are saying. We spoke to a lot of MPs who come from Kerala, and they have said that they will be moving a privilege motion against them. That how there was a manhandling which took place by the Delhi police personnel. So all this is happening at ground zero. The bigger picture is that this entire saga has 3 major angles. One being that of the investigative angle, second being that of the political, and third being that of humanitarian. Rahul Gandhi went to see his mother in the Gangaram hospital today, where his mother is ailing and she has been admitted. And both Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi are on the streets. Rahul Gandhi is inside the ED office, whereas Priyanka Gandhi is holding fort at ground zero. This is what is happening at the ground zero at the moment.
Supriya, stay with me. I want to show our viewers how it all unfolded. Maybe, it's possible that our viewers may have missed some of what happened in the morning because they were busy with their work. But this is crazy. This is how it all actually unfolded. Rahul Gandhi was abroad when the Enforcement Directorate first summoned him. He sought more time, and when he finally appeared, the Congress had enough time to stage a huge show of strength. Here's how it unfolded since this morning.
Day of big Congress tour, from chief ministers to members of parliament and thousands of party workers. The entire Congress machinery paused on Monday to rally behind National Herald case accused Rahul Gandhi, facing ED grilling over alleged money laundering, with a massive show of strength and a solidarity march to the Enforcement Watchdog's office. Congress leader and Wayanad MP marched to the Enforcement Directorate's office from the Congress headquarters in Delhi, with hundreds of sloganeering supporters. As Rahul's grilling started by 3 ED officials, sister and Congress General Secretary Priyanka led the protest. Several Congress stalwarts were detained for the march, which didn't have permission and breached prohibitory orders at ED office.
I am in the police van, if you can see. Yes, I have no clue. I was just giving a bite, which is my duty as a national spokesperson, and then I was just picked up and put in this.
राहुल गांधी जी को बुलाया है, इसमें हमें कोई एतराज नहीं है. वो जाएंगे, हम साथ में जाएंगे. साथ में किसी के साथ जाना तो ये तो कोई क्राइम नहीं है. हम क्या कोई गैर कानूनी काम करते हैं क्या? अजीब सी बात है. तानाशाही की रात चलते हैं और क्या.
Congress launched a pan-India protest from Jammu to Patna to Bengaluru, with party workers hitting the streets. Rahul is facing ED probe in the 2012 National Herald money laundering case. The Gandhis are accused of embezzling funds and financial irregularities. With Preeti Chaudhary, Supriya Bharadwaj and Munish Pandey in Delhi. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, you can only imagine the kind of politics that has been played over Rahul Gandhi being summoned by the Enforcement Directorate. Apart from the obvious muscle flexing by the Congress party, the BJP deployed Smriti Irani, the politician who defeated Rahul Gandhi in Amethi, very symbolic, to take him on even as he was being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. Meanwhile, from the side, the Trinamool Congress also fired a missile, not at the BJP, interestingly, but at Rahul Gandhi himself. Take a look at the politics over the big Dharna by the Rahul Sena.
The streets of Delhi witnessing a mammoth show of solidarity by Congress workers with Rahul Gandhi. The National Herald case is back in focus and the political war of words reignited by ED's grilling of Rahul. As the Delhi police refused permission to Congress's Satyagraha, the party leadership made it clear nothing could stop them.
मोदी सरकार और उसके पिट्ठू इलेक्शन मैनेजमेंट डिपार्टमेंट ईडी ने सत्य को ललकारा है. सत्य को आवरण की जरूरत नहीं, न उसे दबाया जा सकता.
And true to their word, thousands of Congress workers descended on the streets of the national capital with chants of Rahul Zindabad. Rahul's family also stood firmly with him. His sister Priyanka accompanied him to the ED office, his brother-in-law expressing solidarity.
जब भी कोई इलेक्शन होता है, जब भी कोई उद्योगपति कुछ भी अच्छा कर रहा है कि अगर हम बीजेपी के हित में नहीं बोलेंगे तो एजेंसी का इस्तेमाल किया जाएगा, बेबुनियाद इल्ज़ाम लगाए जाएंगे, उनको उनके परिवार को परेशान किया जाएगा.
The BJP didn't hold back in their attacks either, calling this not a satyagrah but a scamagrah.
Today, everyone can see that there is lot of dirt of corruption on the hand of the Congress party, and therefore to hide this corruption that has taken place, they are now indulging in confrontation instead of cooperation.
Rahul's Amethi rival Smriti Irani also jumped into the fray, accusing Congress of pressuring central agencies.
Leaders and workers of the Congress party have descended onto the streets of the national capital to pressurize investigating agencies. Never before has such a blatant attempt been made by one political family to hold investigative agencies to ransom.
The political showdown peaked as Smriti Irani even dragged in Priyanka's name for the first time in the National Herald scam.
Deports मर्चेंडाइज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड जो कैश के बदले चेक देती है, जो कांग्रेस के कार्यकर्ता आज दिल्ली में एकत्रित हुए हैं, वो राहुल गांधी जी से पूछिए कि गांधी खानदान का संबंध डोटेक्स मर्चेंडाइज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड से क्या है?
Interestingly, it wasn't just the BJP that was firing salvos at the Congress, but the TMC too, calling out the grand old party for double standards.
This is the basic policy of Congress, that they play double standard game. When our people were being called, not a single Congress leader came out with a statement.
With Supriya Bharadwaj, Preeti Chaudhary and Munish Pandey, Bureau Report, India Today.
So these are the 5 big questions that we're asking here on India Today. Is this the Congress's renewed signal that Rahul Gandhi is the face of the party? You know, you can have other people, you can have elections, but, you know, Rahul is boss, baki sab bakwas. That's the big signal here with this show of strength around Rahul Gandhi. Question number 2, does this mean that the presidential polls, quote unquote, of the Congress party that are scheduled for August are meaningless, completely meaningless because Rahul Gandhi is the boss? Will the public, will the Indian public, which has rejected Rahul Gandhi at least twice before, buy the idea of Rahul Gandhi as some kind of a victim? Not a loaded question. It's a serious question because after all, political parties are supposed to win elections. Number 4, are these all just optics, or can this huge show of strength really galvanize and energize a bruised Congress cadre across the country? They've been looking for some inspiration. Could this be a tipping point? And finally, is due process being used here against Rahul Gandhi, or is he being specifically targeted by vendetta politics? That's a question that will be endlessly debated. Whenever state machinery is used, this question comes into the play, and it is a legitimate one. Now I want to show you the defining images of today, because a lot of planning has gone into today's big dharna in favor of Rahul Gandhi. He's still inside. But let me show you the big defining images. The Gandhi siblings were all smiles as they marched towards the Enforcement Directorate office for the grilling in the Herald case earlier today. This became the first big defining image of the day on what continues to be a simmering story in VVIP Delhi. The second big defining image of the day, Congress netas detained while staging their Satyagraha march against the Enforcement Directorate summons to the Gandhis. Sweat was flowing, shirts were fully torn, angry fists were shaken, people were bundled into buses. These were the second big viral images of the day from the Dharna. Meanwhile, Priyanka Gandhi also grabbed the spotlight in defining image number 3. She met detained Congress netas at the Tughlaq Road police station right after their detention over protests. She spent some time there with them. These images have been widely circulated and are now viral. Defining image number 3 from the Congress Dharna. Meanwhile, defining image number 4 from the Dharna. On camera, Congress leader B.V. Srinivas was seen to be running away from detention in a video clip that was made viral by the BJP. He was mocked widely for this, but it was later understood that he was running away from the police but towards the protest site. He even spoke to India today and clarified this. Defining image number 5, in Bengaluru, the Congress protest brought the city to a standstill. As top Karnataka Congress netas marched to the Enforcement Directorate office in the city, there were massive traffic jams reported. Ambulances in at least one area were stuck. These were the scenes in Bengaluru. The Congress, remember, has tried its best to make this an all-India affair and not just restricted to the national capital of the country. Well, this is what it is looking like for the Gandhi Vadras right now. Rahul Gandhi, as we speak, is still being grilled by the Enforcement Directorate in round 2 of his questioning. Priyanka Gandhi is the face of the street war. She has not been summoned in this case, but she has made her presence felt on the ground, meeting with detained leaders. Her husband, Robert Vadra, who is no stranger to Enforcement Directorate action, has come out in strong support of his brother-in-law, saying that he will come out clean. Of course, he spoke first to India today. Meanwhile, Sonia Gandhi is not in the picture. She is unwell. She is at the Gangaram hospital. Rahul Gandhi met with her before the second round of questioning. So this is where each of the Gandhi Vadras are at this point of time. Now, what does this entire Dharna, this huge, unprecedented in many ways show of strength, really mean as far as the Congress is concerned? What kind of signal does the Congress wish to be sending out by getting all its leaders from all across the country to drop their pots and pans and converge on Delhi to show strength for Rahul Gandhi? Signal number 1, in my opinion, viewer, Rahul Gandhi is the operational boss of the Congress party on the road to 2024. This is the man who will be the face of the party in 2024. That is being made very clear right now. Signal number 2 from the Congress. This appears to be a renewed attempt to project the Gandhis, especially Rahul Gandhi, as a victim. They are victims of state power and the Modi government. Signal number 3 from the Congress party, this also somehow affirms the Gandhis as the only real rallying point in the party. You know, you can have G23, rebel factions, presidential elections in August, Prashant Kishore advising them on something else. The fact is, it's only the Gandhis that can bring the Congress together in the manner in which they have today. And that is clear for everyone to see a real Gandhi show of strength. They are the clue. Number 4, big signal, Vendetta politics will be a major plank on which the Congress plans to fight the Modi government in the upcoming elections in states as well as in 2024. Paint themselves as martyrs and victims. That's point number 5. After the warrior image that Rahul Gandhi painted himself at, now he is being shaped, crafted and projected as a martyr. So he's been a Shiva Bhakt, he's been a Janeudhari Hindu, he's been a warrior, he's been, a love guru, he's been a person who has, lit up the TV screens very, very frequently since 2014, but has been rejected repeatedly by the Indian electorate. Is this an attempt to somehow recast Rahul Gandhi as a martyr, a victim, someone who cannot be ignored by the Modi government? They call him all kinds of names, they deride him and call him unimportant, but yet they put so much importance on him. Supriya Bharadwaj is back with us. She has the inside track of how the Congress is looking at this entire issue. The victimhood of Rahul Gandhi and the Gandhis is going to be a very strong theme coming up in the elections, Supriya. That's what it looks like.
Well, Shiv, first and foremost, I would like to show you here Ashok Gehlot along with Bhupesh Baghel and Mallikarjun Kharge and all the other senior leaders have just come here outside the ED office. Rajasthan Chief Minister along with him is Mr. Bhupesh Baghel and Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, who's the leader of the opposition of Rajya Sabha. Now they all have gathered here and they will be addressing the media. As far as your question is concerned, 2 things which we have to understand is this, that in Congress, the cadre owes its loyalty loyalty towards the Gandhis. That's why whenever there is G23s or the rebels, it is the cadre throws its weight behind the Gandhi family, and Gandhis are the glue which connect not just the Congress in the country but even the outside the country also. Indian Overseas Congress, there also when the Gandhis are there, we have seen as to how the congressmen across living in other nations also come together. So what has happened over here is that the entire cadre is out on the streets today, and that's what exactly we have been seeing. It's since 7 a.m. the people who actually held the fort in this very area where we are was the cadre. They came to Congress headquarters and stayed whole night. Last night only they gathered at AICC headquarters. They refused to go. They said we will continue to march with Rahul Gandhi, and then kept on coming in from across the country. Now let's listen in to what Mr. Bhupesh Baghel as well as Mr. Gehlot and Mr. Kharge has to say.
जिस अखबार ने प्रमुख भूमिका निभाई थी वो जब घाटे में आई तो कांग्रेस पार्टी ने उसे मदद की और उस प्रकरण में आज हमारे राष्ट्रीय नेता राहुल जी को ईडी ने तलब किया है। भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार जब से बनी है पिछले 8 साल से विपक्ष के या जहां विपक्षी सरकारें हैं वहां सेंट्रल एजेंसियों के द्वारा लगातार विपक्ष के नेताओं के खिलाफ केस दर्ज किए हैं। पिछले 8 वर्षों में भारतीय जनता पार्टी शासित एक भी राज्य में उनके समर्थक दलों के या उनके दल के नेताओं पे कोई भी आपराधिक प्रकरण दर्ज नहीं किया है। तो लगातार सेंट्रल एजेंसी का दुरुपयोग किया जा रहा है, विपक्ष को दबाने की कोशिश की जा रही है, और जब विपक्ष के लोगों पे छापा पड़ता बताया जाता बहुत बड़ा प्रकरण है, और वही नेता जब भारतीय जनता पार्टी में शामिल हो जाते हैं तब वो मामला रफा दफा हो जाता है। चाहे वो महाराष्ट्र की बात हो, चाहे आसाम की बात हो, चाहे पश्चिम बंगाल की बात हो। लेकिन अब लगातार केरल से लेकर कश्मीर तक सारे विपक्षी नेताओं पे ये शिकंजा कसने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। लेकिन इस देश में प्रजातंत्र है, लोकतंत्र है, और लोकतंत्र में इस प्रकार से नेताओं पे आपराधिक प्रकरण दर्ज करके उसे दबाया नहीं जा सकता, उसे कुचला नहीं जा सकता। और आज जिस प्रकार से नेशनल हेराल्ड के मामले में हमारी पार्टी के नेता को तलब किया गया है और इसके खिलाफ में हजारों कार्यकर्ता पूरे देश भर में धरना प्रदर्शन किए हैं। दिल्ली में यहाँ 24 अकबर रोड जो हमारे कांग्रेस का दफ्तर है, वहाँ न नेताओं को बाहर निकलने दिया जा रहा था, न कार्यकर्ताओं को अंदर आने दिया जा रहा था।
Coming up next on 5 Live, a story that has shocked many people. Indian expats living and working in Kuwait who chose to protest in anger against BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma's prophet remarks. Those expats are about to have their visas cancelled and thrown out of the country because Kuwait has a no protest law that these Indians have violated, and they are about to be deported from the country. The Kuwait government is silent so far, but India today learns they are about to be deported. That shocking story come up next.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com or call 9999892171. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
You are watching India Today.
Artemis 1 is NASA's effort for an unmanned mission to the moon's surface. Block 1, the basic version of the Space Launch System, is NASA's heavy launcher. At its top is the Orion spacecraft. Orion goes into orbit around the Earth. It is the immediate cryogenic propulsion stage that will give Orion the big thrust needed to leave the Earth's orbit and head for the moon. To navigate in space, Orion will be powered by a service module that also generates air and water for astronauts on future missions. Orion will approach around 100 kilometers from the moon and will take advantage of its gravitational force to reach a distant orbit at about 70,000 kilometers from the moon between 6 to 19 days. Once Orion's performance has been analyzed, the module will head back to Earth, taking advantage of the moon's gravitational pull. NASA will conduct scientific experiments in deep space with several nanosatellites deployed during this mission. If the results of this mission are validated, it will be followed by the Artemis 2 mission, which will carry 4 astronauts around the moon on board the Orion spacecraft.
You are watching India Today.
It's the latest fallout of BJP spokesperson Nupur Sharma's comments on the Prophet. Kuwait, one of the first countries to react in outrage over Nupur Sharma's comments, is now all set to deport Indian expats in Kuwait who took part in a demonstration against Nupur Sharma's remarks on the Prophet. The administration in Kuwait has issued instructions to arrest all Indian expats who were part of the Fahahil protest in Kuwait on Friday. Indian expats who took part in the protest against remarks on the Prophet in Kuwait's Fahahil will be arrested and deported, reports India Today's Geeta Mohan. According to sources, they will be deported as they violated laws and regulations of the country which stipulate that those sit-ins or demonstrations by expats are not to be organized in Kuwait. The expats, part of the protest, will reportedly be banned from re-entering the country. So trouble for many Indian expats who chose to speak out against Nupur Sharma in Kuwait. Ironically, of course, you're wondering, this is ironic because Kuwait itself had slammed Nupur Sharma's comments. So why are they cracking down on people in Kuwait who did the same thing? Well, the fact is that these Indian expats apparently violated Kuwaiti law, which bans non-locals from sit-in demonstrations and protests of this kind. So many Indian expats in Kuwait who spoke out against Nupur Sharma as part of a Fahaheel protest, images of which you can see on your screen from a few days ago, are about to have their visas cancelled and likely to be deported and sent back home. India Today's Geeta Mohan has broken this story. It's become one of the major talking points at this point of time because there are huge questions that remain unanswered over what will happen to these Indian expats who are in Kuwait right now. They live and work in Kuwait. Their families are back home. They decided to be part of a protest against Nupur Sharma in Kuwait, but they have run afoul of the Kuwaiti administration's laws, with the Kuwait government now basically making it pretty clear that these people are likely to have their visas cancelled and to be expelled from that country. Images on your left are from the Fahaheel protest in Kuwait, where in that crowd there are many expats of different countries, including Pakistan and Bangladesh, as well as many Indians. The exact number of Indians who were part of the Fahaheel protest in Kuwait is not known. What we do know for a fact is that they were part of the protest and now they face action from the Kuwaiti government. It's one of the most ironic crackdowns, but Kuwaiti law dictates that no sit-ins or demonstrations are permitted on their territory by expats. Protests and demonstrations are generally looked down upon anyway, in countries like Kuwait, and Indian expats have basically run afoul of Kuwaiti administration. I want to go across to Jeeves Erinjeri. He's a reporter who lives and works in Kuwait. Jeeves, thanks for speaking to India Today. Can you tell us what the current situation is? Indian expats who live and work in Kuwait, who are part of this protest, are in trouble now.
Actually what has happened is, as per the Kuwaiti law, no expats are supposed to make any protest, public protest. So that's the Kuwait law. So now that the law has been broke by these expat people. So what the Ministry of Interior has decided to arrest them and deport from this country. That's the present scenario from Kuwait, because no expats are supposed to make any public protest. So now they have broke the law. So that is the present decision from the Kuwait government.
Has the decision already been taken, Jeeves? Their visas will be cancelled now and they will be deported? That decision is final?
Definitely they will be deported, because the Kuwait government is very particular on implementing their laws. They don't give any consideration. Actually, what I feel that when they went for a protestation, when they went for a protest, they might have felt that it will be slightly soft-cornered. But Kuwait government is very particular on their, especially for their labor law and things like that. They are not supposed to make any kind of protest or any strikes, even any job issue also. They are not supposed to make any public protest. Earlier also incidents has happened. Those who have protested for some labor issues, they have been deported. So government is very strict and very particular about that.
Do we know how many Indians were part of the protest, Jeeves?
Exact number, I'm just working on it and I can get back after a while. But there are Indians over there. Indians are there.
How long will it take for them to be deported? The decision has been taken by the Kuwaiti government. How long before they are, made to leave the country?
There won't be much delay for that, because these things, they will make it very fast. Within a couple of days, they will be deported. And there is no...
Yes.
Sorry?
Please continue.
Yeah, there won't be any soft corner in their law issues.
So they don't have any recourse to appeal for this decision or anything like that. It's out. It's final.
No chance for the time being. Even government of India is not going to intervene on this matter, and the Indian embassy is also they are very particular about. They are always convinced the Indian citizens in Kuwait to implement the Kuwait law, all the laws. So I don't think they are going to get any support from the embassy side also.
Have you had a chance to speak to any of the people involved in this protest, Jeeves, of what they are saying, what they are thinking right now?
I think right now I don't have access right now. Maybe within a couple of minutes I can just join back.
What kind of expats were these? Were these laborers? What kind of work were many of these people doing in Kuwait? Do we have a sense of that, Jeeves?
The majority labor comes from India, is there, then Pakistan, Bangladesh, Egyptians. They are the most high maximum number of expats community in Kuwait. So generally, these are normal type of people who are involved in this kind of procession. Like protest procession.
Just to get this right, Jeeves, which is what you were saying also, maybe some of these Indian expats were hoping that the government in Kuwait would go soft on them, because after all, they were speaking out against the same thing that the Kuwait government was also speaking out about on an official basis. But what you're saying is that the Kuwait government is very strict. As per the laws of the land, that's what they're acting on, even though technically what these protesters were saying was the same thing that the Kuwait government has said.
No. But actually, Kuwait government. But that opinion was from a couple of MPs only, member of the parliament. It was not an official statement from Kuwait government.
Right.
So whatever is that MPs stood up and they made their comment in the public only, but nothing from the government officials.
That's an important clarification. Yes.
Yeah, that's the main reason, and they could not go. They will never show any soft corner to these kind of protests, and they want to make it very clear that they will not go anything apart from their law. That Kuwait government is very strict.
So, Jeeves, you're saying that the Indian embassy cannot do anything right now? Have these people tried to contact the Indian embassy? There is nothing the Indian embassy can do for them?
No, frankly speaking, they might have approached Indian embassy, but the Indian embassy could not go anything apart from the government of Kuwait. That's it.
How do you see... please continue. Sorry for interrupting. Please continue.
What I'm telling, the current Indian ambassador, His Excellency C.B. George, is a very, very helpful person. He's getting involved in all kind of international all kind of requirements. But for breaking the law, they will never stand with any expats. So the people who are involved in these protests, they will face a hard time. No doubt about that.
So this is, this is kind of scary. Just help us understand that. Just a couple more minutes with you, Jeeves. That, many of these people would have been spending months, if not years, working in Kuwait, and it all ends just overnight because of this. This error of judgment as far as the laws are concerned.
Yeah. That is the reality of these GCC countries. You may do whatever business over here for 30 years or 35 years, but once you have to, if you make something wrong, they are not going to check any of your past history, whether you are working here for 35 years or you are doing business here for 30 years. Anybody who breaks the law, they will be wiped out from this country. There is no doubt. And this will be a big lesson for all the expats, especially working in GCC. Anything goes across the law or trying to break the law, this will be a big lesson for all the expats. Because we Indian expats are getting a good support from the Indian embassy over here, and they are getting involved in everything, even for their health issues, job part, or whatever scenario. But in these cases, they will be having a crossed fingers. Embassy will have a crossed fingers in the matter of these kind of lawbreakers. So this will be a big lesson for people who are working in GCC countries.
So final question then, Jeeves, you're saying there's definitely no recourse. The Kuwaiti government is not going to go soft on this or reconsider its decision. They are going to crack down. They are going to cancel these visas and deport these individuals. My final question to you then is, how do you see it from Kuwait? You live and work in Kuwait. These people are going to be deported now. they're going to be sent back to India and it's going to be a one-way ride. There is no prospect. Once they reach India, is there any way they can fix this, repair this entire situation and find their way back to Kuwait because they've built their lives in Kuwait? Or are you saying that door is shut to them forever in Kuwait?
Okay, that miracles may have to happen once they reach India, then to come back, maybe that also will be a little hard. I can tell you one more example. You will not believe it. See, we got a civil ID here called government civil ID, that which shows our identity. Okay, that should be carried by as per the law. Every time whenever they go out, they should carry this ID card. If they are not carrying these ID cards, they can be withheld by the Kuwait police or the concerned authority. So even, I'll tell you some example. People who have just without carrying. People who have been who are traveling without this civil ID have been caught and they have been deported. And let me come to the point, because just people have just come down from their flats to main road and all without this civil ID for the local shop to purchase something also. If they didn't carry, they have been caught and they have been deported from this country. Things have happened like that way. So, living in these GCC countries, we must be very careful, obey all the laws and orders, otherwise we'll have a hard time.
And, is this one of the big talking points, among the Indian community in Kuwait? We do know that there are a large number of Indians who, live and work in Kuwait, Jeeves. Is this the big thing that they're talking about right now? What is the mood in the community?
Yeah, actually, experienced Indians who have been working here, they know about these rules and all. They will, I don't think so, like people who are slightly well literate people, they will not go these kind of acts because they know the trouble ahead. Like people who are getting good salaries over here, people are enjoying this salary. As you are aware that one Kuwait dinar is around 255 rupees. Kuwait is having the highest currency value in the world. So people all know the lifestyle over here. They get good money. They have a good lifestyle as per the. If they implement the law and they leave, they are having a very good life over here. So this is what you call. This will be a big lesson for each and every expat, not only in Kuwait, 6 GCC countries. Because anything goes across apart from this law, we will be in trouble. I am residing in Kuwait for the last 27 years. So even one day also I have to carry my civil ID with me. So I know that the problem, if you don't make the law, it is things are not that so.
Jeeves Erinjeri, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for making a very complicated issue, clear for us. The families of many of these people, the families of many people who live in Kuwait, I hope you've been listening very clearly to what Jeeves Erinjeri has said. The journalist who broke that story is India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan. She's also live with me. I want to get a perspective from her. Geeta, you've just heard what Jeeves Erinjeri, a journalist who lives and works in Fahahil, Kuwait, has just said. He said, there's no going back on this. The Kuwaiti government has taken a decision. It is very, very blunt about these things. There is no question of rolling back this decision. These people are going to have their visas cancelled and they're going to be thrown out of the country.
I've lost.
Okay, we'll get back to Geeta in just a moment. But I just wanted to show you those images once again, show you a little bit of sound up on that protest as well, to show you what it looked like. This is what has landed an unspecified number of Indian expats in Kuwait in life-changing trouble. They're about to have their visas cancelled, as you just heard from our associate in Kuwait, and they're going to be bundled onto a plane and flown out from Kuwait, perhaps never to be allowed to return. This is the Fahahil protest in which many Indians had participated. We'll keep tracking that story and tell you much more about the people involved and what kind of recourse, if any, they have, considering what the Kuwait government is now going to subject them to. Now from Kuwait, let's drag you back, ladies and gentlemen, to India and to Karnataka, as a matter of fact, where there's been a celebrity drug bust, or at least one that is claimed to be a drug bust. A Bollywood Badshah's son Aryan Khan was cleared of all charges related to drug consumption at a rave party recently. But another celebrity son from Bollywood is in the net of agents for alleged drug abuse. Remember, this is only in the realm of allegation at this time. It is Siddhant Kapoor. He is the brother of actor Shraddha Kapoor. Both are children of Shakti Kapoor. Siddhant Kapoor is in the spotlight. Not Shraddha, her brother Siddhant. Take a look.
"23 days to go before Siddhant Kapoor turned 38. He was detained by the police in a drug party bust case in Bengaluru. His family unaware and baffled.
I was the first thing in the morning from India. Today only I came to know about this. I don't have any idea. I don't know anything about it because I had a very late night. And when I got up at 9 o'clock, the news was coming that he's been detained. So मुझे कुछ पता ही नहीं है कि क्या है क्या नहीं. So the whole family is now trying to get in touch, and nobody is picking up the phone there. So I don't know what is happening.
Son of veteran actor Shakti Kapoor, brother of blockbuster actress Shraddha Kapoor, Siddhant, in his late 30s, is still an actor waiting for big success. On the night of 12th June, he was at a party in a hotel in Bengaluru's MG Road when the cops raided it and he was detained along with others. Siddhant was DJing at the party and police claim to have found 2 packets of drugs lying near a dustbin closer to him.
He was acting as a DJ here. He was playing the music here, and yes, he also has been secured as in his medical test he has put positive for certain drugs.
Siddhant's sample was amongst the 5 that turned out to be positive. Police is yet to confirm whether drugs were consumed at the party or were they consumed before entry. But for the time being, Shraddha Kapoor's brother and Shakti Kapoor's son, Siddhant, will remain in police custody for further investigation. With Karthik in Bengaluru, Bureau Report, India Today.
And season 2 of Netflix's biggest ever show, Squid Game, is all set to return. We'll tell you all about it. We've got a big sneak preview coming up.
지금 이 자리에 계신 여러분들은 모두 감당할 수 없는 빚을 지고
India Today Group wins big at NT Awards 2022. Bags 5 coveted awards in digital categories. Mobile application by a news channel, Aaj Tak. Most popular social media TV news brand, Aaj Tak. News channel website, India Today. Social contribution by a news network, India Today. Strongest digital footprint of a news network, Aaj Tak. India Today Group, the gold standard of journalism. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
Everyone remembers the Korean show Squid Game and how it became Netflix's biggest ever show across all languages, a record that it still holds. And just when the world was coming round to digesting that entire show, season 2 is around the corner. We have this sneak preview.
Gear up for the second season of Korean show Squid Game. Yes, officially confirming the return of Netflix's hit drama series, a brief teaser was dropped by the streaming platform along with a clip message from creator, writer, director and executive producer dispatching details on which characters are returning for the outing. The director's statement read, and we quote, "It took 12 years to bring the first season of Squid Game. A huge shout out to fans around the world. Thank you for watching and loving our show. And now Ji-hoon returns. The frontman returns. Season 2 is coming. The man in the suit with dark G might be back. You'll also be introduced to Young Hee's boyfriend Chol Soo." Squid Game tells the story of cash-strapped individuals competing in children's game for a chance to win a large sum of money, but for the losers, death is the only option. The Korean thriller series was the most watched series on Netflix globally. According to reports, Squid Game logged 1.65 billion hours of viewing in the first 4 weeks of its release in September 2021. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
게임을 거부하는 참가자는 탈락으로 처리된다.
And there's no end to the big backlash over Nupur Sharma's comments. Pooja Shali has the big spotlight lowdown. Multiple reactions. Clerics call for forgiveness. A young boy who supported her in Maharashtra has been slapped. And very much more. That's with Pooja next.
There was a lull in the classrooms, but with COVID cases subsiding, swing sets aren't empty anymore and schools are back in action. As children are sent back to the classrooms, here's a look at how they go to school. The National Achievement Survey 2021 conducted by the Ministry of Education looked at different parameters of how Indian school children feel about school. The survey was administered by the CBSE and looked at a sample size of 34 lakh students in classes 3, 5, 8 and 10. As opposed to the common notion, 96% of children said they liked going to school and 94% said they felt safe in school. About 78% of children spoke the same language at home as in school. About 89% of students come back home and share lessons with their family members. And 85% of kids read or watch material other than their assigned textbooks. A majority, that's 48% of children, walk to school. 9% use public transport, 9% use school transport, and 29% use personal transport. Of the 29% using private transport, 18% rode bicycles, 8% used two-wheelers, and 3% used four-wheelers. COVID affected every...
Teenager puts up a social media post supporting Nupur Sharma, and the Maharashtra police gets him arrested. But not just that. That happened after an angry mob. A crowd barged into the house of this young boy, assaulted him, slapped him, forced him to bow, and had an apology coming out. All of this was caught on camera. So the question I'm asking today at 6 p.m. Prime is, who is speaking up for Saad Ansari and many other young Muslim voices who are sane and rational, asking tough questions and supporting peace and sanity in today's time? All of this with a never-ending storm with regard to the remarks made by now suspended spokesperson of the BJP. That and more at 6 p.m. Prime with me, Pooja Shali. Do not miss.
Presented by Berger Easy Clean. No dag, no dhabba, only beautiful walls.